This is a how-to video on assigning a project. So, you need to be logged in as yourself, not as your little self. You will notice three different portions of your on your dashboard right now. Student data. This is where you would go ahead and get a sense of how your students are doing on their current projects or on the focus areas or their grade in your class. Number two, these are all of the projects in the current course that you're teaching. So the reason it says summer training projects right now is because technically the PLP thinks you're teaching summer training to your one student, little me. If I were a biology teacher, then come August or September, this right here will change to biology projects. It will say which of my current projects are students are working on right now that I've already assigned. Past projects are where the projects that students have submitted and the due date has passed will show up. And then upcoming projects are the ones that are in my course, but I have not yet assigned to anyone. Remember, this is a how-to on how to assign. So you're going to go ahead and go to upcoming projects. This is what you would do in your year. You would go ahead and click the project that you want to assign, and it takes you straight to the assign page. Now, there are different aspects to assigning, so we're going to go ahead and walk through them. So first of all, you want to assign the project to students. Go ahead and select who you want to assign it to. Maybe it's all of your sections, so you would go ahead and assign it. So let's say you teach 4 different sections and they have 30 students each. Then you would go ahead and see 4 different rows underneath one another. Now, if you wanted to assign it, one project to one class and maybe you have block scheduling and they have different start dates and due dates, that's totally fine. Just select the students that you want to. If you want to assign different due dates to different students, then you would go ahead and click underneath here. Right. So now I've clicked the students that I want to assign the project to. Now I need to go ahead and actually say when this project lasts. And so I'm going to go ahead and say that going from June 25th to summer project. Let's just go ahead and say that. So I'm going to say, and then the due date is August 18th. I cannot save or assign this project unless I make sure I do the due date. So make sure to not forget that. Now what you should see is you should see every single step selected as default. Now it's up to me to decide which steps I want to assign to students. So perhaps I want right now every single student to do their thesis, their outline, their rough draft, and whatnot. So then I would go ahead and select what I need to, but maybe I have different steps that I want to assign to different students, so I can also do that. Right now we're going to go ahead and pretend I'm assigning the same students, the same files to every single student. Now, I'm going to go ahead and decide which steps that I am assigning. Maybe I'm not doing the journals. I am doing, etc. So you can go ahead and choose the various different formative assessment steps. Now, I perhaps might have a specific document that I want my students to have for that step. So it's a lit circle. So perhaps I have a task card for them on the types of questions they should ask one another in their lit circle. Perhaps that's the case. Or perhaps I have like a graphic organizer that I want all of the students to fill in separately. Now, pending what I'm hoping the students to see, you'll do something different. So select another file is what I would choose. I'm going to go ahead and pretend like I'm giving a different graphic organizer to every single one of my students. Right? So this first Google Drive folder right here, this Google Drive is a teacher resource folder that has been linked from Summit or the one that you've put in. So these are all of the different Google Drive folders for this project. Now, perhaps, I want a material from there, or maybe there's something from my individual drive, then I would just go ahead to my drive and I would be able to access anything inside my drive. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that I would like to pull something from this Google Drive. So I'd go in and I would figure out what the file is that I want. Looks like I want the third lit circle. You know what I want is I want the sheet, the prep sheet, because that's what I want every single student to have and to write. Go ahead and select that. Now, what is going to happen is every single student now is going to have their own individual version of this document. You do not need to have every student create 30 different copies and write their name and save it in a certain folder. You will have access to this link on your teacher side of the PLP. So look here, if I want to make a copy for each student, again, every student is writing in their own graphic organizer. And so I need 30 different copies. Would go ahead and save that. Save the changes. Great. And I would do that for every single step. You can do this now, you can do it later and come back to it. Because students are pacing their way through and they may have different steps, they may be working on different steps at different times. Teachers often will go ahead and put in all of the student-facing resources as they're assigning their project. I'm going to go ahead and save changes. And that's it. If I want to change the step files, I can go ahead and just choose what I need to do. If I want to unassign steps from students, I can go ahead and do that, and so forth. Or maybe, you gave everyone 4 steps, but actually there's a 5th formative assessment step that you want to add in there. In addition to their outline, you want them to have another round of peer feedback. You can go ahead and do that later as well. So all of these different options explain that to you. Now, you'll notice one thing over here in the top corner, which is add resources to project libraries. Now, what that means is maybe there's a file that you want everyone to have access to help supplement the work, but it's not specifically related to a specific step. Perhaps it's an exemplar of the book to screen project. Maybe there are some exemplars or maybe there's some articles for students who are really interested in the real life implications and you want everyone to see that, but it's not necessarily for one step or another. You would go to add resources to project libraries and do that here. And you would go ahead and follow very similar steps as well. This feature has not yet been shipped, but should be shipped in the summertime. So when that is ready, we will go ahead and make a how-to video on how to do that. So now you've assigned and now you want to give scores to your students. So right now I only have one student and I see that my little Nanor has 0 out of 19 assigned steps planned and has not created any custom plans. So what does that mean? Let's go ahead and click into that. That means that, remember, I assigned this project to her and it goes from today until August 14th. And I assigned all these steps. And remember, I added a file. So when I click on this file, what I would see in my next page would actually be an individualized version of that file. So as a student, they have the ability to go ahead and plan out their own calendar by dragging and dropping that into the calendar. Now, since it's a teacher view, I'm not going to go into that in detail right now. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to this screen. So remember, she has 0 out of 19 assigned steps. That is why all of her steps were in the bottom right corner previously. I can see what status it is in. It's been assigned, or if I have the final result and I want to go ahead and capture the scores and have it count in their grade. Now on the right side are all of the cognitive skills for this project, and anytime I want to give feedback, I can go ahead and add this score here. And that's it.